to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
These guys don't look too fucking good.
Reese, we're kicking off this one fast. Notre Dame goes down. We just talked last week that they should already be planning their home playoff game. What happened?
Riley Leonard can't throw a touchdown. Let's start there.
The Maction.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're going up against the Maction squad. They're lucky they weren't playing Ball State. Look, man. They looked good against Texas A&M. That defense looked tough, but you're not going to win games if you can't score points. And Scott, especially when he was on the show, had concerns about Riley Leonard and how he was going to transition to this Notre Dame offense and being able to score points. And he's been being proven correct so far. So we'll see what happens when they go up against this next week's game, because they're playing Purdue, and Purdue hasn't played tough opponents, but they're putting points on the board. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shape out for the rest of the year for Irish, but not a good showing last week.
Yeah, so Notre Dame paid Northern Illinois $1.4 million to visit South Bend and beat them 16-14. In my opinion, just based off of what my team went through last year, this should eliminate them from the playoffs, even if there is 12 teams. The schedule's not that fantastic. I know they do play USC, Florida State, and I believe Georgia Tech still, maybe. There's one other decent team that they play. I think it's Georgia Tech. I don't really remember, but still. If they go 11-1, would you put them in the playoffs?
I mean, hard to say without looking to see what the rest of the schedule or what the rest of the records look like. But I mean, without a conference championship, I'd rather see a group of 5 team come in, because I just think that would be more fun to watch. I don't know. I Notre Dame fans, a lot of them anyway, not all of them, but a lot of them argue that they don't need to be put into a conference because they can win big games like what they just did against Texas. But this is proving otherwise. If they were to have a conference championship at the end of the year and they were to win out and then win that championship, then I would say, yes, put them in. But they skip the need to beat one more really good team in order to enter the playoffs, which I think it eliminates them.
Yep, which is why they have no chance at the auto bid and why they have no chance at the first round bye. To me, this is I just think this is a pretty big deal. Now, this might be an irrelevant conversation because the way that the offense has looked, chances of them winning the next, what are we at, 9, I guess, or 10, are probably not very good. But still, it's an interesting conversation that we're going to be visiting the rest of the season, just because if they were to go 11-1, we've got a pretty big discussion. I don't think it would be a group of 5 team that would be who they would be contending with. It would be like the 7th SEC team or the 6th Big Ten team or some bullshit like that, judging by how this is going to go. We already know what's going to happen, but
yeah. And look at what that schedule is probably going to look like for that 6th or 7th team. Like, they're going to have a way stronger strength of schedule, in my opinion. I mean, looking at what Notre Dame has left here, they have their 2 next games are winnable. They're on the road against Purdue, and then they're at home versus Miami of Ohio, another match squad. You got to watch out for.
Miami of Ohio is
they're not bad.
Good.
Yeah, they're not a bad team. Then they're at home against number 19 currently in Louisville. The Louisville Cardinals are not a bad
the
squad.
Other one. Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of.
They've got Stanford Cardinal coming to town on October 12th. Then they hit the road to play Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has proven to be a decent team this year. They're on the road against Navy. Then they come home to play the Noles in Florida State. And then their last 3 games are at home against Virginia, on the road against Army, and then they're on the road again at USC. They're not going to be able to get away with all of those games without scoring points. And every team I just mentioned arguably is a better squad than Northern Illinois.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with that is if they don't start scoring points, those Service Academy games those will be some real battles.
Yeah, and both of them. I mean, they're they're both on neutral fields, right? Or at least
both of them are. I think both of them are.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. You could see the frustration on Coach Freeman's face. Like, who do they have behind Riley Leonard?
I honestly don't know. I thought they had a big time recruit come in. Let me see.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll look it up right now if you want to. Their depth chart is let's see, Steve Angeli, and then they have CJ Carr, who looks to be a true freshman.
Carr is the one I was thinking of, and then I know that they've got another kid that keeps going to Auburn on visits. He's like their biggest quarterback recruit. I think his name it's Knight, like Deuce Knight maybe. He keeps going to Auburn. Like I think he's committed. I thought he was committed to Notre Dame, but he keeps going on these visits to Auburn. So I'm guessing he's probably going to end up at Auburn. Notre Dame fans would have to give us a better opinion on that. But from everything I've seen, this kid is always at Auburn. And it does show that Riley Leonard injured his non-throwing shoulder, but he is still expected to play this week against Purdue.
No, he's not using his thrown shoulder either, so I don't know why that makes a difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Notre Dame fans are happy about that or not. But we'll get to that game here in a little bit as we pick Notre Dame Purdue. We're going to go through the rest of news and notes. Well, first, let me introduce, for those of you that are new, I'm Jacob Workman. On the other side of the world is Reese Downing. This is the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast. We're doing our Week 3 picks. So as we just talked about, Notre Dame did have a very, very shocking home loss last week to Northern Illinois, 16-14. News and notes. So Florida head coach Billy Napier has said that both Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway are going to be playing moving forward, which is an interesting choice. Apparently, to me, this is an idiotic decision, but Billy's good at those. I think Lagway should be the clear-cut player. I don't even think Mertz should ever see the field again. But this is Billy Napier, so we'll let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, look at SMU and how that two quarterback situation is working for them right now.
Yep, and Preston Stone got the boot today. So it is no longer a two quarterback system, which will be fun to watch going forward because Stone was the clear cut favorite. Everyone thought, but I can't remember his name, but the guy that went in and won the AAC or the American Championship game last year is the one that's now starting for them. Nebraska welcomed Colorado to Lincoln and beat them 28-10. In the game, Colorado defender Shiloh Sanders broke his forearm. He's had successful surgery. Some pretty funny conversation that came out. ESPN's Paul Feinbaum, our favorite on this show, has predicted that Deion Sanders will leave Colorado after the season. In a quote, he said, "This season, when they fail to go to a bowl game, he's going to look around and try to find an exit strategy. No more Travis, no more Shedeur. What's the motivation for him to beat himself up?" What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, he may not be wrong. I
don't think he's wrong either.
You look at that. I mean, they're losing a lot of talent at the end of this year. He's not been able to put together wins right now with the talent that he has. I mean, Colorado's historically not been a winning program, but Deion is historically a winning player. I don't think he's going to sit around and lose games for long. So I can very much see him trying to find an exit strategy to get out of there. And I don't think Colorado is going to push him because they're getting Colorado too much press with having him as the head coach. But
yeah, my thing is though, is where does he go? Because who the hell would want, I would not want him. I don't care what school, to me, all he's done is create problems. Now, is it going to be a good thing maybe that his kids are going to be gone? Because that seems to be part of the problem also, but I don't know. I don't comprehend where Deion fits. He's clearly not fitting at Colorado, and I think this is the best place he could possibly be talent-wise. He's bringing in transfers. His recruiting sucks, but that's because he doesn't recruit, which is his own fault. And he thinks that because he has two good players, he can win, and I don't even think Shedeur's that good. Travis Hunter, yes, I'll give him credit. Shedeur, to me, is going to fail in the NFL. And Deion's already saying that he's only going to go to a select few teams. He's setting him up for failure. So I don't know. Where do you think Deion could go and have success?
I frankly, I don't know. I mean, he may be better suited to go back down towards one. I mean, not Jacksonville State, which is where he was at before, but another group of
Jackson
five
State.
school or Jackson State. Yeah, it's not even Jacksonville State. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, frankly, maybe well, I was going to say the move from him would maybe to be able to go to one of these bigger schools and be a DC to work his way back up, but I don't think Deion's going to do that.
Hell no. Yeah, and
So,
I don't think any head coach would want that disaster either. So I don't know. Well, and you think too, the only time he had success was at the HBCU with two players that should have never been there. So,
right.
I mean,
he had overwhelming talent on a team.
Yeah. I mean, Shedeur looked good. Games. Shedeur was playing against a Metro football team. Like, of course he's going to throw for 400 yards. Like, now that Shedeur's been in real competition, look what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where he goes. Go to Ball State. Mike Noon may not be there.
Christ. No, I don't know. Like, Deion's a Florida State guy. I've always liked Deion, but over the last few years, I've really grown to hate Deion. Like, I just don't agree with anything he's done. Like, the fact he walked into Colorado and basically told guys you're not good enough to play here, and then didn't win shit with his guys is kind of a sign to me that you're a terrible coach. So I don't know. No success anywhere where the talent is equal. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm a big Prime fan too. I mean, Dallas Cowboy fan, Atlanta Braves fan. I love Deion Sanders as a player. It's not transitioned well into the NFL or NFL. It hasn't transitioned well into head coaching and at the D1 level. And there's so much flash with this team, and it's all off-field flash. Like, focusing on the X's and O's and win some football games that people don't expect you to win, and then get a little cocky with it. But they're walking around like they're Saban and they've won 6-7 national titles in the past 15 years. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I don't remember the exact quote, but Shedeur made himself really look like, I mean, he looks like an asshole all the time anyway, but in his post-game press conference after Nebraska, they were asking him, I wish I could remember what the exact question was, but they were basically asking something about his performance and the offense, and he responded by saying, how many times did Raiola get hit? So he basically was throwing all of the blame on his offensive line right after the game, basically saying that it's not his fault, nothing's his fault, which is another problem. I think he's sending tons of red flags to the NFL too. Like, I'm almost wondering, I know there was tons of talk of not necessarily number 1 overall pick, but like top 10 pick and first round pick was like guaranteed. At this point, I don't even know if he's that. Like, I don't see how people could want him on their team with the way he is.
Yeah, so the exact quote was, how many times did Raiola get touched? Of course, touched. when you're able to run the ball consistently, that opens up the pass, but it's just like, you've got to understand what your team's good at. Why would we keep running the ball when we get out there and there's a must-get situation and we don't get it? So he's not only questioning he's questioning his dad. Like, that is a question about play calling.
Yeah. That's I don't get it.
So how do you expect the other players on that team to come in there and want to play for somebody that is going to point the finger as soon as the game's like? A true leader takes accountability, and that's the kind of thing that NFL teams are going to look for when they're going to draft quarterbacks. There's not an NFL team that is, except for maybe, unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys, but that's not going to happen because we just signed Dak.
Yeah, I was going to say Dak signed.
Yeah, like, there's not a team in the NFL that's going to want somebody like that has the sense of entitlement when he's not earned any of it. So I don't see it transitioning well in the NFL either.
But yeah, that'll be one of the more fun things to watch once this implosion in Boulder ends, to see where I think Travis Hunter will be fine. But yeah, Shedeur on the other hand, I don't know. That's going to be something very fun for the next year to kind of follow.
Yep.
All right, so moving off of Colorado, Oregon had a hell of a battle with Boise State. They did survive to win 37-34. Illinois defeated Kansas 23-17. Cal beat Auburn 21-14. Texas went to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan 31-12. Just absolutely obliterated them. Syracuse took down Georgia Tech 31-28. Penn State did have a late comeback to beat Bowling Green. That was an interesting game.
That team, dude.
Yeah, it's another one of those. What are we going to get from this team each week? Because we thought it was kind of like Notre Dame. Like week one, we were like, oh, like man, they might be good. Yeah. No, just remember who we are. We're gonna shit the bed real quick.
Yeah.
USC has officially retired the number 13, Caleb Williams. To me, this one's interesting. Like, yeah, I get he won a Heisman, but like, did he really do enough to get his number retired? Like, he didn't win any games. Like,
yeah, like wait 10 years until he wins the Super Bowl, and if that happens, I don't really get that either.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked by that. I mean, I guess you probably theoretically have to for the Heisman, but still, I think we could do a little better.
I'd be interested to know what other players in USC history wore number 13.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm going to pull up a little video here for the people that are watching on YouTube. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the Colorado School of Mines. We actually kind of figured out like what the school meant, like with the meaning behind the name, how it has nothing to do with mines, and the pictures, they did the crazy team pictures we showed. Well, this hidden gem that we did not discover in our last research. So the Colorado School of Mines runs a burrow around the field when they score, which is absolutely awesome. It's a live mascot burrow. His name is Blaster the Burrow, which is incredible.
I was only going to say, if his name isn't Joe, then it should be something good. So Blaster works. Blaster
the Burrow, blasting the mines. So that is one of the more electric things I've ever seen in college football, was that thing running around. And then I also discovered that they have another mascot named Marvin the Miner. Unfortunately, he is not a live action mascot, but we're going deep on the Colorado School of Mines. And stay tuned. Like I said, at some point this season, we're picking one of their games. We're going to find it. A little recap of last week before we get into the week 3 picks. We were a perfect 4-0 on the locks and the dogs last week. The dogs were barking. So we had double locked Tennessee as our lock. Tennessee was playing NC State in Charlotte. Nico Iamaleava put quite the beating on NC State. That dude has had quite the season. I think at Tennessee, we might need to start watching out for an SEC championship berth.
Yeah. 16 to 23. I mean, he didn't have the best game. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, but Dylan Sampson, 132 yards. Nico had 65 on the ground. Deshaun Bishop had 42. I mean, this team is loaded on offense.
Yeah, the offense is crazy.
And they're passing the ball around a lot too. I mean, there's not a single receiver on this team that got more than 3 receptions, but they have 8 different guys that got at least 1 catch.
So for the underdogs, I gave out a plus 265 dog in Michigan State to beat Maryland, and Reese gave out a plus 114 dog, Syracuse, to beat Georgia Tech. Last week would have been the week to do a 4-team parlay on our locks and dogs. That would have been some pretty good money if we would have done that. But
yeah, hindsight.
Yeah, I say it's not too often that we hit a 4-0 on it either. But all right, so that recaps last week. It's time to get into our picks for this week. So we are going to kick it off with, actually, this is one of the more fun games of the week. I'm pretty pumped for this game. We got number 20, Arizona, going on the road to number 14, Kansas State. Kansas State's 7.5-point favorite at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in the Little Apple. Over-unders 58.5. Friday at 8 p.m. on Fox. Let's kick it off, Reese.
Yeah, Arizona's 0-2 against the spread this season. This game is in the Bill. I do have K-State winning the Big 12 this year. To do that, they need to beat good teams. I think it starts here at home against Fafita McMillan. That said, I don't like the spread. I think this is going to be potentially a close game. I'm going to dice roll here and go with Zona plus the 7.5.
I am on Arizona plus 7.5 also. I just like the team, and I still think Avery Johnson's struggling a little bit, and I think Arizona has the firepower that they can take this one. Friday night, ranked top 25 matchup on the road, though, that's the situations I talk about a lot. Like, that's when things get fun.
Yep.
So going over to Saturday, number 4, Alabama is a 15.5-point favorite on the road at Wisconsin, Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. Over under 50.5 Saturday at noon. This is the big noon kickoff on Fox.
Yeah, this one's a little tricky with it being in Camp Randall plus this spread, but Fickle's not been able to get an offense going really since he's been in Wisconsin. I think that's going to spell trouble against this Bama squad, so I'm going to go Roll Tide here minus the points.
Yeah, Bama struggled a little bit last week with USF, but they did the same thing the year before when they played them in Tampa. I know that game had a ton of rain, but in Tuscaloosa last week, it was quite the struggle. And it wasn't honestly much of what USF was doing. It was more of what Bama wasn't doing. They dropped like 3 snaps. They'd fumbles. They just weren't protecting the ball at all. I think that's going to get corrected. And the Dairy Raid under Captain Miami Van Dyke is still ass. So I'm taking Bama minus 15.5. Number 13, Oklahoma State is a 20.5-point favorite going on the road to Tulsa to Rex Chapman Stadium. 62.5 over-under Saturday at noon on the Deuce.
Yeah, the Cowboys have won the last 9 in this series, but the last 3 have been closer than 20 points. So that's something to consider. But I think this Oklahoma State team is different. So I'm going to take the Cowboys here to cover.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma State to get going again, too. Last week, they struggled for quite a bit. Did end up getting the win, but they were playing very sloppy. But I think they'll rebound in this one. I don't think Tulsa is going to be that good. It is a high over-under, though, at 62.5.
Yeah, it is.
When I saw that College Game Day was going to this next game, I literally got depressed. I was like, what in the hell is college football this weekend? We must have some shitty games if this is the game day game. But here we are. Number 16, LSU is a 6.5-point favorite going on the road to South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. Over under a 50.5 Saturday at noon on ABC.
Yeah, listen, LSU, I think, is definitely the better team here, but we've talked a lot about how tough it is to get a win in the WB. South Carolina's got some mo going after a big win over Kentucky. I think they keep this game close. I'm going to take South Carolina here plus the 6.5.
Yeah, so if this was a night game, my pick would be different. I love Williams-Brice Stadium at night. Like, that actually is one of my favorite, like probably top 3 college atmospheres in college football. This is a noon game, and I don't think South Carolina is good, and Sellers really still can't throw the ball. So I'm going LSU minus 6.5 here. Arkansas State is going on the road to number 17, Michigan, 23.5-point favorite at Michigan Stadium, the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan. 48.5 over-under Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, the spread scares me a little bit here, but Arkansas State has a really bad rush defense, so I think that bodes well for the Wolverines to get back to what they know best. I'll take Michigan here to cover.
Yeah, Arkansas State's had some fraudulent wins. They really shouldn't have won anything yet. I'm not too big on them at all, and I think Michigan's gonna. They need to come back to life after last week, so I'm taking Michigan minus the 23.5. This one is a very sneaky. At the beginning of the year, we wouldn't have really thought this game was going to be awesome, but this is going to be one of the better games of the day, to be honest. Number 24, Boston College is going on the road to number 6, Missouri. Missouri's a 16.5-point favorite at the first Memorial Stadium of the weekend in Columbia, Missouri. 54.5 Saturday at 12:45 on the SEC Network.
Yeah, Mizzou's kicked the season off with a pretty soft schedule. Now they get a real opponent. BC's looked really good so far this year, averaging over 280 yards on the ground. Castanellis has looked solid. I think Missouri wins this game, but I don't like the spread. So I'm going to take BC here plus the 16.5.
I was the same way. I think it's too many points. I'm taking BC. I mean, this could be a 1-score game even. Like, I think this is within 10. So to me, this is one of the weirder lines of the week, or more weird, I guess. We have a civil war. It's back. Number 9, Oregon, 16.5-point favorite going on the road to Oregon State to Resser Stadium in Corvallis, Oregon. 49.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on Fox.
Yeah, Civil War this early in the season feels a little odd, but love that we're getting a ghost of a Pac-12 matchup already in week 3. Oregon State's defense has looked solid so far. Oregon has been playing all over the place. I think the Ducks get the W, but I think the Beavers can keep it within 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to take Oregon State here plus the 16.5.
Yeah, I just think this is the first time Oregon State's going to be facing an opponent that's this good this year. So I actually do like Oregon in this one minus the 16.5. But if Dylan Gabriel doesn't start getting things going, I I don't know. Oregon season's going to be interesting because they're still playing that Bo Nix style of let's not throw the ball more than 6 yards down the field and just hope that we can outrun people. And they showed last week that it almost got them beat by Boise State. So
Yep.
It'll be fun though. Civil War is at least being played. So you're right though, and we got the Apple Cup this week too. So I mean, we got two what used to be end of season games in week 3, which is just insane. But this is modern day college football. All right. Chirp, chirp. Ball State got a big win last week, going on the road to number 10, Miami. 36.5 is the line. Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. 54.5 over under. Saturday at 3:30 on the ACC network.
You know where I'm going with this. I'd love to see a major upset like what happened in South Bend last week. I think Miami gets the win here, but give me Simone's in the cards plus the 36.5. Chirp, chirp.
Yeah, I can't do it. I think
I knew somebody has to.
I think Miami is going to be just a little too much for them, but I will give them a lot of credit. Like I thought the line was kind of strange last week when they were only 2.5 point favorite, but the team they were playing is actually going to be next year in FBS. Like they're moving up, and they're one of the better teams in the FCS. So it was a good win for them. But this week, I think we might be coming back down to reality here. All right, next game we've got Tulane going on the road to number 15, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 13.5 point favorite at Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. 47.5 the over under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, Oklahoma, I think they're still finding their footing a little bit on offense. Tulane gave K-State a run for their money last week, but I think the Sooner defense makes the difference. So I'm going to go Boomer Sooner here to cover.
Yeah, I'm on Oklahoma also. Tulane just hasn't quite been what they were with Willie Fritz yet. And in Norman, the way Oklahoma plays defense, and I mean, you just have to assume the offense is going to have a little bit of a better performance than last week. So I do like Oklahoma to get the cover. Number 18, Notre Dame, 9.5 point favorite going on the road to Purdue, Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette, Indiana. 45.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
This game seems a lot more interesting than it did at the beginning of the year. The Irish are clearly have the better team, but Hudson Card's been tossing darts, and Purdue's going to come into this home game confident after seeing Northern Illinois get the upset last week. Riley Leonard, like we talked about, he had to throw a touchdown pass. The Irish should win this game. I'm going to take the Boilers here to keep it within 7.
Within 7?
Yeah, I'm going to take the 9.5, thinking that Purdue's going to keep it within 7.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm going Notre Dame. I just feel like if they want to have a season that they thought they were going to have, then things need to change quickly. And this is the perfect example, a team that can actually score, put them up against their defense. The defense needs to show up and actually return to what they did to A&M. And yeah, it's kind of, I mean, Riley Leonard's got to do something in this game. And maybe if he doesn't do anything quickly, maybe that's a Marcus Freeman excuse to use the injury maybe and say, let's give someone else a try real quick. Oh, speaking of injuries, our guy, Cam Rising.
It took 3 weeks, bro.
3 weeks, and we're already saying, what's our favorite phrase on this show? Is Cam Rising going to play?
It's time to play the Cam game.
Jesus, come on, Cam. We can't do this already. Number 12, Utah, 20.5 point favorite, going on the road to Utah State to Maverick Stadium. Finally, we got someone with a cool name in Logan, Utah. 46.5 the over under Saturday at 4:30 on the CBS Sports Network.
Assuming Cam doesn't play, we're getting Zach Wilson's brother again, who finished the game last week. I hate picking this game without knowing if Cam's going to play, but I'm assuming that he's not going to play. This game is not in Utah. It's at Utah State, so it's a rivalry game. I'm going to take Utah State to cover.
Yeah, I really wish we knew. I mean, we only said that 19 times last year, but
yeah, every damn game.
I'm still going to go with Utah to cover. 20.5 is a lot, but Utah State's offense just isn't that good. Utah's defense is still good. So I'm going to just hope for a 21-0 victory if Cam doesn't play. But yeah, things get real interesting if Cam doesn't play in this game. Number 5, Ole Miss is a 23.5 point favorite going on the road to Wake Forest in What we got here? Legacy FCU Stadium. That's interesting. Must be another credit union.
Federal Credit Union.
Yeah. Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 63.5 over under Saturday at 6:30 on the CW network.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout.
I want somebody to ask Lane Kiffin what he feels about playing on the fucking CW network. Regardless, I have been vocal about how much I love this team. Ole Miss is rolling right now. This offense is ridiculous. Give me Ole Miss here to cover easily.
Yeah, I know it's the first time they're actually playing like halfway respectable competition this year. That's why the line that's been 50 all year is now only 23.5. But I just think they roll this team, even on the road. So I'm with Ole Miss on this one. Our favorite road runners, UTSA, is going on the road to number 2 Texas. Texas is a 34.5 point favorite at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. They at least spoofed up their Memorial Stadium name. I like that. Austin, Texas, 54.5 over under 7 o'clock Saturday night on ESPN.
Yeah, UTSA just had an ugly loss against Texas State, and now they get the best team in Texas. Hook 'em horns.
Yep. I'm hook 'em also. I got Texas. I did think that game last week was one that was going to go a long way for that group of 5 playoff berth, and Texas State kept the streak going. Like we talked about a little bit ago, they could be a potential undefeated team, and we're actually going to be talking about them here in just a little bit in the 6-pack. Number 1, Georgia, 24.5 point favorite going on the road to Kentucky to Kroger Field, Lexington, Kentucky. 45.5 is the over-under Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
Kentucky just got smacked by South Carolina. Now they get to play Georgia. Night game. Give me the dogs.
Yeah, so Kentucky's one of those environments where at night, it's kind of like South Carolina, actually, to me. Like, they've got a good home environment. I think that loss last week is really going to hurt them, though. And their quarterback, Brock Vandagriff, is a Georgia transfer. So I don't know if there was any hatred there, if they want to light his ass up. But I think Georgia's just out to prove a point still. From day one against Clemson, I like Georgia. I don't know. They might beat the shit out of them, to be honest. But 45.5 seems really low for an over-under to me, unless they're just anticipating Kentucky not to score. Northern Iowa going on the road to number 23 Nebraska. Nebraska is a 28.5 point favorite in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. 47.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network.
I like what I've seen so far from Matt Rule and Dylan Raiola this year. Cornhuskers at home against a Northern Iowa squad that barely got a win last week over the St. Thomas, Minnesota team that has a tiger as a mascot, but their official team name is the Tommies. So make sense. They're the St. Thomas Tommies. Yeah. Nebraska here minus the points.
Yeah, if they can't beat Tommy Tiger, get the fuck out of here. We're on Nebraska minus 28.5. Kent State, straight ass, the ass flashes. Going on the road to number 7 Tennessee, 49.5 is the line at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. Over under 62.5 Saturday at 7:40. The SEC Network loves the 45 start times. Saturday at 7:45 Eastern on the SEC Network.
The ass flashes. That's another team we're going to have to try to get into college football 25. I don't think it's going to pass.
Bum flashers.
The bum spelunkers.
That's right.
Yeah, normally I'd shy away from a 7 touchdown spread, but this is Tennessee. Give me Rocky Top.
Yeah, I mean, it's 49.5 and the over under 62.5. So that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Give me my guy, Nico Iamaleava, to continue dominating the world. Ass flashes go down. Give me the cover for Tennessee. We're moving now to the Muncie 6-pack, and I would be lying. This game is one of the. I'm probably more excited for this game than almost any game this weekend, and it's going head to head with an NFL game Thursday night. And I will tell you, I will be much more in tune to this game. Arizona State is a 1.5 point favorite going on the road to Texas State Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos, the lovely San Marcos, Texas. 59.5 over under Thursday at 7:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, this one's going to be a fun one. The Scabado going against this Texas State squad. Jordan McLeod's transitioned very smoothly into the Bobcats offense. I'm taking Texas State here plus the points to get the W at home.
Oh, I heard a W, so we're go straight up there. I'm not doubting my guy yet. I love what I've seen from Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham. I don't know if it's quite time yet, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe we should enter them into the Big 12 Conference Championship conversation. So I love it, what I'm seeing so far. They had tons of transfers, and sometimes transfers work, and sometimes they don't. But this seems to be one of those situations where things are going really well. So I'm on Arizona State to go to the tough environment in San Marcos and beat Texas State. I don't even want to talk about this next game, but we're going to. Memphis is going on the road to face Florida State. Florida State's a 6.5-point favorite at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. 52.5 over under Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Is this a game where we see Brock Glenn?
Oh, Jesus God, I hope so.
My question, because DJU is not it. Memphis has a solid offense, but they don't have a good defense. Surely the Noles will wake up here. I'm going to go with the chop here, minus the 6.5. If they don't win this game, clean house. Like I don't. DJU should just hand him his transfer papers.
I'm fine with that. So we got Norvell going against his old team. His success at Memphis is what got him the Florida State job. One of his assistant coaches is still the head coach there. We did get some unfortunate news. Jalen Lucas, our transfer running back from IU, who's kind of been like our lightning bolt. He's out for the season, unfortunately. But the flip side of that is our wide receiver that's very good, Hakeem Williams, is cleared and is going to be playing. So I guess you lose one, you get one. God, I just hope Florida State does something. I'm taking Florida State to cover this. I just hope we see signs of life in this program. We've got a lot of big games coming up, and this is kind of hopefully the stepping stone to where we're going to see. We got Cal next week, and Cal will beat us if our offense plays like that. Cal's defense is very good. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping to just see signs of life from this offense. We got a backyard brawl going on in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. West Virginia is a 2.5-point favorite at Pitt. 60.5 is the over-under Saturday at 3:30 on the Deuce.
Always love the backyard brawl. Garrett Green got hurt last year, and the Mountaineers still got the W. If he stays healthy, I think this is West Virginia's game to lose. So play it. Minus 2.5.
Take me home to the place.
West Virginia is going to be good. West Virginia minus 2.5 is where we both are. Actually, we're gonna throw a little something else on this next one too. Texas A&M is a 4.5-point favorite going on the road to Florida, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida. 46.5 is the over/under Saturday at 3:30 on ABC. What do you have for this one?
Yeah, we already talked a little bit about how this Q2QB situation has not been boding well for other teams. Napier just making it easier to give him the boot. I'll take the L squad here, minus the points.
Yeah, when it comes to talent level, Texas A&M has way more talent than Florida does. I still do fear a little bit if Lagway is. I mean, if they play Mertz, they're in great shape. But if Lagway gets the full-time playing, then I think we got a little bit of a different situation just because of how dynamic he is and dual threat. But I do like A&M to kind of rebound here. So we're both on A&M minus 4.5.
Now let's go ahead and do that yell together. Pass it back, Ags.
Pass it back, Ags. Washington State versus Washington in the Apple Cup. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite. This is a neutral site. We're at Lumen Field, home of the Seattle Seahawks. 55.5 is the over/under Saturday at 3:30 on the Peacock.
Yeah, Huskies offense looked good last week. They went for over 500 yards. Meanwhile, Washington State gave up almost 500. They were horrible in third down conversions. Give me Washington here minus the 4.5.
Yeah, this is a game that kind of pisses me off. It's neutral site. I know that they had to get it there just to get the deal done, to where they can continue the Apple Cup at least. I do think they go back to home and home starting, I don't know if it's next year or 2 years, but I do know that they have agreed, I think, to 3 or 4 years of playing. Maybe it's 2 years at Lumen and then one at Washington State. But regardless, I'm just glad the Apple Cup's getting played. I'm going to take the Huskies, Washington minus 4.5 in this one. This might be the first time this has ever been uttered in the history of sports, but IU is a favorite in the Rose Bowl. IU is a 3.5-point favorite going on the road to face UCLA in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. 46.5 is the over/under Saturday at 7:30 on. And be prepared, nation. This is on NBC. We're getting this nationwide.
Insane. Garbers didn't look great against Hawaii, but the defense looks solid. I don't think this is going to be enough to overtake Cignetti's offense. Hoosier run defense is looking good so far. Give me the Hoosiers here, minus 3.5.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one. I'm actually taking UCLA at home, getting the points. I don't know necessarily they win the game, but I do think they can keep it close. And they have had the bye since they played Hawaii. They've still only played one game. So I'm kind of interested to see what the rebound situation is there. We are going to finish the week off. The Tuesday Night Touchdowns favorite team, Colorado, is a 7.5-point favorite at Colorado State and Canvas Stadium in Fort Collins, Colorado. 58.5 over under Saturday at 7:30. And this one we got nationwide TV2 on CBS.
Yeah, I love the fact that this is at Colorado State. It's the first time that's happened since 1996. This is going to be the last Rocky Mountain Showdown until I think 2029, something like that. So they're going to go on quite a bit of a break. Team Prime's 4-11 against the spread in the last 15 games when he's favored by more than 7. Rams took the Buffs to double OT last year. Give me Colorado State.
I love it. I love it. Now I feel like such a fucking asshole for this. I'm taking Colorado minus 7.5. I don't know why. I just don't think Colorado State is the same team as last year. Like, I don't think they're as good. That's my only issue. I love the situation though, because Norvell's the coach that basically said, take your stupid fucking sunglasses off. And that's the team that they came out and this is the game. Travis Hunter got hurt with that hit. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that happened in this game last year. It was awesome. Yeah, I actually hope that next week I hope Colorado State wins outright. Let's just put it that way. I'm taking Colorado to cover, but in my true heart, I want Colorado State to win outright. All right. Where are we going? We're going to the locks, right?
Yes, sir.
Reese, let's kick it off.
Lock me in on Ole Miss over Wake Forest. I think this is not nearly enough of a spread. Ole Miss's offense is rolling. Lock me in on Ole Miss over Wake Forest.
So this is probably going to come as quite a surprise. Give me Notre Dame minus 9.5 at Purdue. I just don't feel like Purdue can hang with this team. I think Notre Dame is finally going to come out, put on quite the performance. I actually think Notre Dame's defense is the key here, clearly. But Riley Leonard will do enough against Purdue's defense to win this game, and I think I think they can easily win this by 10. So I don't really fear this line. That was uncalled for. That was uncalled for. All right, let's go. Let's see what kind of money lines we're playing this week. Reese, what is your dog?
I'm going all in here
yes.
against Team Prime. I'm going underdog Colorado State here, plus 210. I love it. I know that this team's not as talented as they were last year, but they have a lot of momentum going into this game, especially because they're taking a break from the Rocky Mountain Showdown for a while. Bark it up. Colorado State over Colorado.
I love it. I love it. So mine's the very, very, very first game we picked tonight. Give me Arizona, Noah Fafita, and Tetaroa McMillan. They're going to the Little Apple to beat some ass. Arizona plus 225 on Friday night. That is going to wrap up the Week 3 pick edition of the Tuesday Night Touchdown podcast. We will be dropping our NFL Week 2 picks here in just a little bit also. So make sure you join us next week. I'll halfway apologize to our Notre Dame faithful that joined us for that intro of the show, but, you lost to the MAC, so you're going to deserve that. So for Reese Downing and Jacob Workman, that is it for the Tuesday Night Touchdown podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.
See you, everyone.